Hi, Chris here. In the 1930s, music started to be recorded onto analog tape, and music also started to be distributed on vinyl records. And this is the time when the mastering step of music production was invented by necessity, and I want to tell you why. So when they first started to cut the music into the vinyl record, because that's how they do it. So they would play the audio off the analog tape, and they would again cut a groove in a vinyl record, and then the needle would move with the music and all that. But what they found was if they just took the straight recording off of analog tape and tried to cut it into a vinyl record, all the low end in the recording would make the needle dig too deep and also move side to side. The groove would be too wide and it would start to blur together, and it would sort of almost like shred the vinyl. So what they did, they would record the music normally, to make it sound good. But before cutting it into a vinyl record, what they would do is remove a lot of the low frequencies, a lot of the low end information. And that way, when they cut it into the record could handle, the groove wasn't too big and the grooves didn't blur into one another, and it worked. Now, what they had to do, though, was upon playback, when someone played back the record, they would have to add in a bunch more low end. And then it would come through the speakers and you'd hear the music, and it was great. So that's where the mastering step was born. Now, of course, we don't need to worry about, well, I guess they still do make vinyl records. I guess they're making a comeback. So they still do that with vinyl records, but the mastering step in music production has become something else. Now, the mastering step is when you can use a little more EQ, compression, limiting. You make the final tweaks to the music, and also you bring it up to the correct loudness level. That's what we call the mastering step these days. And why am I telling you this when we're talking and learning about podcast production here on this channel and at my podcast engineering school? I'm telling you this because you can have a mastering step. You should have a mastering step in your podcast production. So before you put out your episode, you should, and mostly what people do is they just make sure the LUFS level is correct, right? They make sure that it's loud enough, that's mastering, in fact. And then you have some crazy people like me and other podcast producers who we like to use a little bit of EQ, maybe a little more compression, and whatever. You don't have to do that, but a lot of us like to do that to make the audio sound better. So that's the origin of the mastering step in music, and that's how you can use it. That's how some of us use it in podcast production. Well, all of us, most podcasters use it to get the level to the proper LUFS loudness level, which is good. So, and I use iZotope. Ozone is a good product it's a mastering suite, and I just use regular plugins as well. You can use any plugin to, master your podcast. So, all right, well, that's the message for today. Don't forget, you can listen to my podcast engineering show podcast. You can sign up for the daily goodie emails, little tips that I give you on podcast production. And of course, the website, podcastengineeringschool.com, is where you can find the big course that I teach, which teaches people how to work from home and earn a great living producing podcasts for clients. So that's where we'll leave it today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if you want to like and subscribe, you can. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.